This is the contract agreement between Princess Juliana International Airport and Ballast Native International Projects. This is to build back the Princess. Look at all these numbers. Look at this. This is the bill of quantity. Numbers, sizes, units, money. Now, in order to build back the Princess, you need money. But where do we get the money from? Show me the money.
Show me the money.
Show me the money!
Okay, so where do we begin? Let's go back to 2019. The airport has a brand new CEO, another CEO, I think that's like the fourth CEO. When he arrives, the cash reserves are depleted. I mean, gone. Creditors, airport, radar, the roof design, cleaning up of the terminal. Also, you have the penalty from the bondholders. And then, of course, before all that started, you had a 15-year, $143 million loan that existed. You also had overdrafts from the bank, so there was no money, not even money for salaries. So now we got to find the money for that and also find the money to fix the airport.
Wait, hold up, pause. Let's also not forget what we talked about in episode 2.
Now, when you have a major airport like the Princess, it's not being used, you have cash reserves. Those cash reserves are eventually going to dwindle down because you're paying to clean up, you're paying this, you're paying that, but there's no money coming in, none.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Okay, so first a letter, or should I say letters, have to be sent out of credit needed to all the creditors with a payment plan for the airport. The airport got a $20 million bridge loan, which was received from the St. Martin government of January of 2019. Now that was to stabilize, the company. So they had to negotiate, the St. Martin government actually was negotiating with Holland for the $553 million pledge that was made from Holland to the St. Martin government, which was put into a trust fund. Now that money was for the island, to clean up the island from Irma and from Maria. The money was not intended for the airport because the airport had insurance, which they were waiting for the insurance money, which was basically in arbitration, to make a long story short. $140 million tied up. So they made an exception to Princess Juliana to get them this bridge loan to help them out. To build back the airport, we have to receive money. So we got $50 million.
$50 million?
From the trust fund from the St. Martin government. Another $50 million from the European Investment Bank.
All right, cool. $50 million, no problem.
With an interest rate that was really good. Let's just say lower than 3%. The airport needed to put in some money too, to pledge in some money. So they put in $7 million. Still with me now? I know it gets a little confusing with all the numbers, but try to stick with me there. So that was a total of $107 million for the reconstruction, which all had to go into the NRPB. They held on to that money, and that was managed by the World Bank. Still with me now? Okay. Now this money only became available in April of 2020. That was after the insurance arbitration monies held by the bondholders from the verdict, which was August of 2019. So the bondholders were waiting on the World Bank, and the World Bank was waiting on the St. Martin government to be finalized after the election. And now, only since after they got that money did the preparation finally begin and the bidding to reconstruct the Princess started.
851, 1100,
852.
Now the bidding process, that's also a little tricky too, because that happened right smack dab in the middle of COVID. So you have trying to build back the airport, accepting bids, but to be fair, what the airport did was anybody who wanted to place a bid, whether they were on island, off island, they had to do it via teleconference, whether it was Zoom or whatever, however they did it. But just to be fair for everybody had to teleconference, Zoom in their bid for the airport, just to be fair. Now, let's talk money.
Show me the money!
Almost half of that insurance money was used to pay back the bridge loan. Remember the bridge loan we talked about in the beginning? So they used half of that to pay that back from that bridge loan in 2018, with close to $27 million of that insurance money going towards the project design, project supervision, mold remediation, waste disposal, construction insurance. You gotta have insurance when you're doing construction.
What'd you let go for?
Okay, so in 2021, of course, we had inflation, crazy inflation because of COVID. Everything goes skyrocket. The shipping, the material, everything is going. So another $20 million needed to be injected for contingency plan.
20 million and 50.
Also, the trust fund, this is how it gets broken down. You had $70 million from the World Bank, the European Investment Bank, I mentioned before, $50 million. The airport, which I mentioned before, put in $7 million. So you add that up, that's $127 million from the NRPB, which they are holding on to. Of course, the World Bank is managing all that. And then you have the $27 million from the airport insurance money. So you add all that up, that is $154.5 million for a total project budget to build back the Princess. That's a lot of money. Okay, so as we mentioned before, the contract agreement between Princess Juliana International Airport and Ballast Native International Projects, they get $90 million. $90 million to complete inside the airport. But that does not talk about the other stuff that we need to talk about, the separate supplies, such as the baggage handling, the security, bag drop, which they never had, jet bridges. All of that stuff needs to be purchased separately. All of this has to go through a rigorous procurement process with the World Bank. They want to make sure all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, and they want to know exactly where the money is going to. So everything has to be scrutinized. That's why you see all this paper, the contracts and everything, because they don't want you to just give the money to Wise Guy Construction or whoever. They need to know exactly where this money is going. So I hope I made this process just a little bit clearer. I know what the numbers, I'm not too good at numbers and all the numbers and everything adding up, but just to show you exactly how this process happened and where Princess Juliana International Airport got the money to build back the Princess. Make sure you check out some other episodes we have coming up. Hit that like button. This is G Money for Restoring a Princess. Until next time.